I'm standing in front of one of my favorite trees, a great big spreading maple. It's the kind of tree that you come upon and just go, wow, and you just fall in love with it immediately. It is so big and spreading, overarching. It's like a mama tree, just embracing you. And it took a really long time for me to notice that there was another tree not far away, a papa tree, a huge, tall maple tree that had three main stems. Each of the stems was as thick around as this. It was literally three times as big, but it wasn't overarching. It was this big, tall, straight tree. So here's where it stood, and you can see behind me one of the last of the great uh, stems that fell, and the trunk is here, what is left of it. And when I first noticed it, the first of the three stems had already fallen. It was already old, and then the second stem fell, and it has already decayed into the ground mostly. You can just barely see it. You can see around me that there are trees that are filling in the hole where it fell. And I was really, really sad when the the last two stems fell, because it was such a beautiful, inspiring tree, and in the fall, just absolutely glorious with this fireworks finale of orange leaves way up high. And so I wanted to talk about this loss, about how we deal with grief and death, and what I've learned from this tree. And one of the things is that these little maples are coming up around it, and those little maples are from seeds that it through. These little maples really are the continuation of its life, just as once upon a time, this great tree was one of those little maples. And then it had a huge mama or papa tree that fell and opened it to the sky, the way these leaves around me these saplings are coming up, and the way the little seedlings are coming up. And this is all part of its cycle. Its life was never just its own. It was all the summation of all the lives that had come before it, and had given their leaves to fertilize this soil, and then in its turn, it gave its leaves to fertilize this soil, and now it's giving its substance, and it was made up of. The being, literally, it had in it all the other trees that had gone before it, that had fed it, and it is now giving back those trees, from hundreds and hundreds, thousands of years of continuity. So what I see here is that it is one life, and it's the whole life that we can celebrate, and that we can be grateful for, and that we can feel inspired to rise and give our share, knowing that we are like this tree. We too are the product of thousands and thousands of generations gone past, of humans who brought us here, including our parents and grandparents and those we have known, and this is our chance, our time on earth to contribute our part. And when we leave, we will leave behind all that we have contributed and passed along from all that we have been given. That we are just part of this one long flow, and there is no real final death in it. As long as the earth shall last, we are a part of this one life. And really and truly, I am breathing what these leaves give off. They are breathing what I give off. We are one. It is one life. And so, does that mean that we never grieve and we never lose anything? No. We love our life, and we love our parents and our siblings and the trees that are standing. So the cost of that love is that we are sad when they go. We grieve. Um, but that grief and that love are held together in this greater context. They are both, the love and the grief, they're both part of the whole big stream of life. Um, and what is most important is that we contribute our part to it, and that we see that there is a sacred way, that there is a sacred goodness that is above everything else, and that is to love our neighbor as ourselves, to do the golden rule, to live by the golden rule, because that's what serves all of life. That sees the oneness and serves all of life and keeps it all going. And it really honors that oneness and goodness, and the giver of all that we have been given, the source that we name God, that we saw in Jesus, that we feel flowing through us in the Spirit, in those moments when we're truly deeply alive and full of presence, both love and grief. The Spirit is in them both. So it's hard to have this bigger perspective, and it's important to do, because by having it, we are wise. We make decisions based on all of the good of all of life, not just our own self. We are comforted in our grief. We are inspired in our love. So it's important to have that connection to the whole. And there's something that we can do to get us, to raise us above and take us out of our own small, narrow perspective. And I'm sure that you can't guess what that is. Prayer, yes, prayer. Prayer connects us. It opens us to the Spirit that flows through all things, and it gives us this perspective and this wisdom, and we can feel the life flowing through us. We can feel it from our ancestors. We can feel it we're passing it along to future generations, and that prayer gives us perspective and power. It guides us and helps us do the right thing. So let us pray.